And you do music too, right?
I do, yes. Is I did it my whole life. That was the thing that, you just come out of the womb doing. But
Yeah.
then the acting was there too. And, everything that I first did was song dance commercials. And then it just kind of segued into television and movies. And then before you know it, was only getting offered, acting jobs. And that kind of it's very different now though, because now you can do all that at the same time. Back then,
Yeah.
there just weren't a billions, there was like three networks, couple studios, couple of top independents. It was a handful. And so you just could not be split off like that, you know.
Yeah. That's interesting that you point that out already because that's one of the questions that I always ask is uh with the way that things are changing and how you see the differences between, where you started in the industry and where you are now. What do you see for the future of the film and entertainment industry?
Yeah.
What do you see for that?
Well, I mean, I really think that's anybody's guess, right? There are
Hmm.
probably a few people, some people, more on top of it and educated about the literal facts. But there does seem to be an issue because, like I said in the past, it was all very simple, much more simple. And the model created where to be famous, to be working all the time, it was like cream actually rose to the top. But now that it's so spread out, it's like it's more about just getting famous, right? You look at the great actors, great. I mean, where are the Linda Ronstadts? I mean, I'm just saying with music, where is the Carole Kings? There just
Right.
aren't that many of them. Um, there's just so many, there were so many good singer-songwriters out of the 70s and bands too. We
Absolutely.
had those one or two people. So it's the same way I think in the film business. It's like there's so much. Everything is like a pendulum, right? We were way over here. Now we've swung way over there. It's just different now. Now it's like kind of everyone sounding kind of alike
Hmm. And wanting to at
and
times.
wanting to. What the hell is that about?
Yeah, I honestly, that is confusing to me. I don't get that loss of creativity. Like, do you just not, you're is that like maybe a lack of confidence, I guess, to in being just who you are? I don't know.
Oh, that's really interesting that you say that. I'll tell you a story. I hope I'm allowed to tell this story.
You can tell whatever stories you want.
My ex-husband did the music programming. He's like was like one of the first
Okay.
people that did the synthesizers. So he did all the programming for the album Thriller. You've heard of Thriller.
Nice. That is cool.
Yeah, that was a joke. You've heard of Thriller, of course you have.
Of course.
And but he talked when we were married for 10 years, and my I have two sons with my ex-husband, and now my oldest son, he's a musician. Both of my sons do music, but the older one is working with his dad on a project. A lot of it has to do with the synthesizer. So because of the synthesizer work, the Michael thing, people on the internet are always Michael, Michael, Michael. They want to know everything about how the records were made. And so, there's a lot of stories he's told me. And one of them, which I find fascinating, is like Michael's obsession with Prince and the
Yeah.
rhythm tracks. He was so obsessed. But I think almost everything has already been done. But I think it's more like you take what's been done and then you capitalize on that. You take it to a new place. You do something new with it. It's more like an inspiration than a copy.
Yeah.
I think that's what Michael did. He was inspired by.
Yeah.
So I don't
Yeah.
know what's going to happen back to the film business. I don't know what's going to happen because I think I think we are currently kind of like the caterpillar has gone into the cocoon and they're trying to figure out the butterfly.
Yeah.
It's changing, and I don't think the streaming format, especially for television, is really working. There, no one can make money.
Yeah.
It's too spread out,
Hmm.
and not everyone can be a superstar. So it's like, all this kind of fake, I guess it's kind of fake, stardom, people that get really famous, you know,
Fly
influence.
by night, kind of.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Not that I mean, I more appreciate the true influencers because they are really trying to influence.
Yeah.
But when actors are being put in that position, or singer-songwriters, band, when artists are being put in a position of trying to just get famous, I think it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yes. I
Yeah.
know so many actors in my life I've heard they want to get famous, they want to get, and I've never said anything. I'm like, okay, gonna keep it shut. I'm not gonna say anything because I just don't think that's the formula. You might get it, but it'll be an empty thing. And you'll always be chasing that elusive butterfly
Hmm.
because you didn't do it because you earned it, right? And with like content or something. I'm just throwing up my keys because there was
Or
something.
talent, even.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You did it because it was you used a formula and you got
Hmm.
popular.
The algorithm, you followed it.
Right. That's very, very different than the old-fashioned way when really had to have a hit song. It really had to stick out. An
Hmm.
actor really had to be something unique, something special, something, like a Marilyn Monroe.
So how did you end up actually in horror? Because like we said, you've got all these different things that you did. How did horror become, a part of
An
your life?
accident. Really true. No, 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 no. This is true. Horror, I think, chooses you. And the reason it chooses the actors is because of the fans. The fans are, they are everything. The fans are unlike, except it does happen in music with them following an artist. It's that same kind of thing. There's, people don't follow romantic comedies. They like them, but they don't follow it. They're not like, oh, romantic comedy, oh,
Right.
or whatever. But it is that way in horror. If
Yeah.
somebody is a horror fan, because my movies really weren't that horror-ish. The one that I got that started it all, although it wasn't my first, I did a TV movie with Wes Craven, who is the creator of
Hmm.
so many things, but most famously Nightmare on Elm Street. And I had done a TV movie with him, but that's not why I got the other film I got, The Stepfather. I got The Stepfather because it was a really hard part and I had to fight for it. It was like an acting role. It was a legitimate acting role. It wasn't screen queen. It was a smart girl. She was thoughtful. She was a feeling person. A lot of the characters back then, especially in the genre, just didn't have that depth. It was like
Yeah.
you have a lot of TNA type stuff going on in horror back then.
Hmm.
Different now. But it was just different. So mine was more like a thriller, The Stepfather. And then once you do that kind of a part, that's more an acting part, that led to other things in the genre, some of a similar nature. But when they wanted somebody that was more thought of as an actress and not as a scream queen in the moment, then, I would get those roles. But in the long run, we're only having this conversation because of the fans.
Yeah.
I,
Definitely.
because they've kept, I left the business. I left the business in 1994 when I found out I was pregnant with my beautiful son, Dante. But the business didn't leave me. And that was because of the fans, because
Right.
they keep it alive for everyone. And now, everything is so funny. You're younger. I could be your mom. So
That's okay.
so I get to say this, I've earned it, right? All of us that are older, we've earned being able to say certain things, but you know, sometimes you'll make a choice when you're young, like I did, to leave the business. And at the time, it's like, oh, yeah, man, this is a good choice. My kids, my this, I want to be at this. I want a full-time wife, full-time mother. I'm going to be the perfect mother, the perfect wife. Well, it doesn't, you were
Always, yeah.
flawed. We're flawed human beings, and you don't cut off your arm to
Yeah.
create something else. And so when I just abandoned my career and just done overnight, amputate, in retrospect, I really think about that. Like, oh, maybe that wasn't there probably was a way to have a fuller life and keep a foot in it. I wanted to be a full-time mom, but I
Yeah.
didn't have to amputate to make that happen. And I did. But I just did another film last year.
Yay.
It
See?
has a foot in the genre, so I think horror fans are really going to love it. I think it's a
That's
fabulous film.
awesome. I think as a mom, I have a 10-year-old son. And I think as a mom, I can really relate to that feeling of, wanting to be everything for your kid and everything possibly perfect that you can be. But are you perfect if you aren't being yourself, if you're not giving, that little part of what serves your soul? When you had that for so long and then it wasn't there anymore, did it make you really realize what being a scream queen meant to you?
That's a great question. That's a really great question. It really was more in the present moment, and what's developed over the years is not so much about missing it. It was the gratitude. That's what I realize now. I'm very in tune with, wow, look at it's like all these years later. And, except for the movies I did last year, I took 29 years off. I had no intention of ever coming back to the business, but COVID changed that for me. I got really sick. I probably should have died. I'm very lucky I didn't, and it made me rethink life. It really truly made me rethink life, meaning, choices. And that's why when this new movie came up last year, two came up, and I said yes. Where in the past I always said no,
Yeah.
but it was like the gratitude between COVID, being alive, and then that was really just like the cherry on the cake of the years of the fans. So I finally really I had evolved to, even though I always said gratitude, it was different. Now it's like in embracing it, giving it a big hug and never letting go of the gratitude.
I love that. That's
That's what it feels like. It's like that's that's what keeps me connected to it now. I mean, I don't think I would ever be comfortable doing a real blood and guts horror kind of thing. But would I like to get back in like the movie I did last year that is a foot in the dark side? Yeah, I always like more humanistic stories,
Mhm.
stories of humanity. I mean, I was thinking about that today on my walk. I probably shouldn't say this out loud because someone's just going to steal my ideas.
We can cut it out if you want.
No, no, but I'm teasing about that.
I'm
But
teasing.
in all reality, I was thinking, because I saw some people walking today I'm in San Diego right now on vacation, and I saw them walking on one of the boardwalks, and a lot of people that had horror t-shirts on, right? And I just started daydreaming on my long 5 mile walk about how so much of the horror genre goes towards the supernatural. And the truth of the matter is, there's a lot of true horror in just everyday life. Really, the unimaginable that some human beings go through. And I think that's the type of story that I'm more attracted to.
I can appreciate that, especially as a big fan of true crime.
Aha, exactly.
Yeah, I was literally just telling Brink yesterday that um when people say like who's your favorite monster, I always say humans because we're the scariest. Like we are capable of, and I'm also a student, and I'm going to school for my psychology degree. So I'm fascinated with the psychology behind, serial killers and kind of just how that happens, how your mind does that. Um, and I think there's a really cool way that there's a lot of horror that plays with the psychological side of things where you don't need the blood and guts even.
You're speaking my love language right now, not my love language in terms of, not that kind of love, my love language with the art
Yeah.
form. Like, you know, I'm involved right now with a, a musical I'm writing, and the subject matter is teenage suicide. And, I shouldn't be talking about this either because it's not out yet, but it's okay. I'm going to say it. Something tells me to say it. But a few people said, don't show the suicide, don't, because it's like with music, don't show the suicide in musical. You can't do that. You show the after effect. You can't show the suicide. And I wrestled with it for like 2 years. I'm like, I'm showing the suicide because that's it. We need to look at that when we understand the horrificness of like what really is going on with a teenage girl that would
Hmm.
drive her impulsively in a moment to have a permanent solution to likely a temporary problem, or at least a working problem, right? The
Hmm.
way out is the way through, right? You
Right.
work through it. This is life. It's
Yeah.
messy. It's messy. It's dirty. It's never, it's usually mucky water that we're always navigating, and you might get these clear patches and other patches are really bad, but we're always navigating this stuff. So we're spot on with what you were saying. I find it fascinating that you're kind of marrying your love with music and psychology, because for me, it's always been about that. When I told you I was a latchkey kid and I was home alone all the time. And my sanctuary was music. And I
Yeah.
love music. I love the intervals and the melody and blah, blah, blah. But the other thing that really, really resonated to me were the lyrics, the stories that were being told. You know,
That's why I like older country songs because they're just stories.
oh my
Yeah.
God, country music from that. I have a friend of mine he's one of the greatest saxophone players that's ever lived. It's absolutely fabulous. And he's a jazz guy. But he has taken a turn for total love of country music
That's awesome.
because of the stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like 'cause so many people are so quick to just be like, I don't like country music. And it's like you don't like stories? Like you don't enjoy, like, have you ever heard Ode to Billy Joe, Johnny
Yeah.
Cash, A Boy Named Sue? A whole story.
Yeah.
Like, I
I
love
know.
that.
Oh, you're giving me the chills.
Oh, see? I
So
love
that's
it.
the kind of horror I like.
Yeah. I like that too. Well, you filmed a lot of different scenes in your life and different, movies and projects. Do you have a favorite thing that you've ever done, like scene or movie or?
Well, I'm always into gratitude, so I love most of them. I've a unique appreciation for each one of them. Not all of them, but the ones that I like, the ones where
Yeah,
I'm like, okay, I feel proud of that. I'm glad I do that. And there are plenty of movies that I'm like, why did I do that? And everyone I feel that way about, I can tell you absolutely 100% for certain it was a paycheck. You need to work, you need to support your life, the life that you have, your house payment, your this, your that.
yeah,
So sometimes you take a job and you're just like, before you make it, that it was going to fall to the wayside. But anyway, you know, I don't think there's a particular, no, I don't think there's a particular one. There's a couple of films that I just loved working on. I loved working on Babes in Toyland. That was a little Christmas movie. It was a silly little thing,
that's
but we
awesome
had
though.
fun. We were kids. Drew Barrymore, Keanu Reeves, not
Yeah. What
actor
was
Boogie Grass. It's called Babes in Toyland. It was a Christmas film. It's
I know
out
what you're
every
talking
year.
about. I was gonna say, what was it like to work with them?
Oh, it was great. We were kids. It was
Yeah.
one of Keanu's first projects. Drew was, I think she was 11, maybe at the time. I
So
that
like fire starter age, right? Well, no,
Yeah,
because that's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It was great. We just had fun. That was the point. It was
that-
just like you got to go to work every day. We were on a set in Germany, in Bavaria, and it was the back lot of the studio. They built the little Toyland town. We
that's
just
awesome.
had fun. We had fun. Loved working on The Stepfather. I enjoyed a little film I did. Next to Nobody Saw It. It was an Essie Hinton novel.
I
Essie.
yes, she did The Outsiders.
Yes. And then the sequel to The Outsiders was Then This Is Now. And I did That Was Then This Is Now. Emilio Estevez wrote it. He starred in it. Craig Sheffer was in it. Morgan Freeman was in it.
Nice.
Um, and they modernized the story. Paramount wanted Emilio to modernize the story and not make it a sequel. I thought it would have been better as a sequel, but I
Well,
just,
yeah, because people would have heard about it more because you could have just rode the wave of insanity that is The Outsiders in general. The lineup of The Outsiders in, hindsight, what a solid fucking cast.
yeah, exactly. Thank you. And
Yeah.
so, but everyone tries to, it's like music. When people take a song and they redo it, sometimes they do it well when they redo it, but most of the time, it's like, okay, you butchered the song and trying to make it unique. You took all the uniqueness actually out of it. And there are some versions of songs that I've heard that just kill me. I was like, how did they come up with doing that version of the song? But I think That Was Then, This Is Now probably would have been better served as it was written.
Yeah.
It was just
Um, now
next
I have to read
chapter.
that because honestly have never read that one. And I love The Outsiders. And as someone who loves to read, I am very disappointed in myself that that somehow
Oh
slipped
no,
through.
you have to read it. Both of my kids, when they were in middle school,
Mhm.
both of them watched the movie because they had to read That Was Then, This Is Now
Wow.
class. And
Yeah,
then,
they never had us read that.
yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
I think books in school, they go through cycles, you'll
Yeah.
like 3 to 5 year cycles, and then they move on to the next one. But anyway, so both my kids in their school and a few people have told me that, oh, I have to read this in school, and then we saw the movie, and that's how I know you. But most people have no idea about that film. They've never seen it, nothing. But I enjoyed that. I really enjoyed When a Stranger Calls Back. And that was a sequel to When a Stranger Calls, and it's really a very well made little film, and I'm very proud of that. And there are other projects. My most favorite projects were not on film, though.
Okay. Was it TV or just
Theater.
acting? And yeah.
I theater.
Okay.
I did a musical for 5 years in a small theater in LA.
Nice.
And the only time I didn't do it was when I had to go on location. Then they shut the show down because Jill had to run off and do a movie.
That's awesome, though. That means that you were obviously a pivotal part of the show.
It was written for me.
That's awesome. You were talking about filming in Germany. I know Popcorn, which we're gonna get to see at the drive-in
Yeah.
event, and that was filmed in Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
How was that?
Well, I mean, I love Jamaica, so I'm prejudiced. I also fell in love in Jamaica. Making
Aw,
the movie, I met a young man from there. And, I've never done this before on a set. I dated an actor, got involved with somebody and had a relationship with somebody because you meet them. That's where you meet them at work.
right.
But I'd never met a crew member and had fell in love with them. But this young man was quite lovely, and he was a local there, and so to me, I only have fond memories of Jamaica. But my experience was very different than everybody else on the film because the role I played, what they were halfway into the filming when they let go of the director and let go of the leading actress.
I was gonna ask about that because you had two different directors. Was like a weekend that they let go of the first director, or how long?
I only had the one director. I
Okay,
think they first changed the director who originally wanted me. Now, is that true? I don't know. That's what somebody told me. And then one of the producers wanted the original actress that was hired, but when it didn't work out, called me to do the part. So it's kind of weird. The
yeah,
director that was let go is the one that wanted me.
yeah. That well, maybe they fired him and then realized it wasn't his fault.
Who knows? I, it's
It's possible.
unfortunate though, because I think there were some broken friendships as a result. And that's always sad for me when I think about
Yeah.
that. It's like, but, you know, there are movies within the movie, and the original director directed those, and those happen to be my favorite parts of the film. That's very funny now that I'm thinking about it. All my favorite parts of the part I'm not in.
Well, I read that someone had speculated that it was because he was too meticulous in the filming of those.
Oh,
But I just read that somewhere.
so you just taught me something that doesn't surprise me because they're really fantastic. I
Yeah.
mean, they're
So
they're like I'm like, oh my God, this is so clever. But I came in, I did it, and I'm so happy I did. Fans love this film, and I'm so glad
absolutely.
they do. I'm so
Yeah.
glad they do.
Will this be your first time at the Skyline?
Yes,
Are you excited?
I am so excited, and I have to tell you, because you're from the area,
Yeah.
I'm not, but a couple of years ago, because I've been single for a long time, and so I've been like, I don't think I want to stay in LA. And so I started researching, daydreaming about where else I could live. And I love architecture and I love modern architecture. So there's a little town. What the heck is the name of it? It's escaped my mind right now outside of Indianapolis. What is that town that is known for its architecture? Columbus.
Okay.
It's not that far away, right?
Not too far.
So
Just a little bit, but yeah, not too far.
I looked in that area to maybe move to, and I didn't do that. I met my fiance and I don't know where we'll end up, but he has family there.
Yay!
The very place I was thinking to move.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm very happy to come out there. And then after the screenings, we're going to spend some time with the family.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
While
Well,
you are around Indianapolis, you definitely should check out Fountain Square and Irvington. They both are like our art districts. Um,
okay. Will you email that to me?
absolutely, yeah.
Thank
You'll
you.
love that. Um, then the Skyline is lovely. It's my favorite drive-in. We have within what I would say is a safe, like, a normal driving distance to just go do something. We have three within a driving distance from downtown.
Wow.
Yeah. But, and, whatever, everyone can think what they want. Um, the Skyline is my favorite for more than one reason, but the Skyline always hosts really cool horror events. They have this feel about them, and it how some things that you go to for the nostalgia part feel real, and you feel like you're getting that experience, in the most genuine way that you can in this time, as opposed to, how it was. And
Yes.
then there are other places that you go to and it just feels like they're selling you an experience, and it's real commercialized, and there's no feel, and there's no,
Yeah.
it's that's how I feel about one of our biggest drive-ins.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's all gravel. There's all these screens, there's too much noise, and it's less about the individual experience and more about, selling tickets to keep it alive.
I
Where at
got
the Skyline, it's not like that. It's You're there and you're in it, and it's just lovely. I can't wait for you to see it. And they have
Oh,
good food too.
I'm so glad. Is it fairly? It's only one screen, right?
It is one screen, and when they say under the stars, as long as it's not an overcast night, you are gonna see the stars, because in
Oh
the
my
city we
God.
don't see them. I spend a lot of time looking at the stars instead of the movie.
Oh my God, I love that. That's fantastic. So I'm going to get to meet you. I'm so happy.
Yeah, we're gonna get to hang out. I'm excited.
Good. Good, good, good. Yo, I love everything you've talked about, including that experience. You're like me. You want to feel it. It has to mean something.
Um, let's see. Do you have any cool memories about working with Wes Craven?
I
Yeah, go ahead.
think we all have predisposed prejudices that we didn't know we had. And one of them for me that I did not realize is I thought horror people, well, I'm going back decades ago when I knew nothing about anything. I'm an idiot, and because I was not personally attracted to horror, I was attracted to scary, but not horror. So when I thought of horror, I thought, oh, that's a different type of person. And in truth, what I've learned is it's the exact opposite. People who love horror are the most loving, the most gentle people. They're like these amazing, wonderful people. They're not like people that personally have anything about wanting horror. They're
Yeah.
really sensitive beings and that's the way Wes Craven was. He reminds me of that. I remember working with him and he was soft spoken and he was quiet and let's maybe how about I think on this we're gonna blah 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 blah. Not at all like boom boom bah bah. He wasn't. He was just quiet, soft spoken, pleasant. So always with a little smile. That's what I remember about him.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome.
Not some guy all in, dark energy and
Yeah, that's
you're lucky. He was at the mentality of like a doctor, a really kind, sweet, loving doctor.
that is so cute. I love that. Uh,
Yeah.
something I always like to ask is advice that you would give a fan or a kid or someone that wanted to grow up to do what you do.
Follow your dreams. I'm a big, huge fan of following your dreams. I will say this though, when you follow your dreams, and if it's all right to use this analogy of Mount Everest, a lot of people have the dream to, I want to conquer that mountain. And what allows them not to conquer it and to have very, very bad results is lack of preparation. So when you follow your dreams, you are not living pie in the sky fantasy. The only true way to follow your dreams is to be in reality, to know what the challenges are, and be prepared to meet those challenges head on because they're going to happen. If you're feeling, and I'm talking to anybody who has the dream of going there, if you have that dream, if your thing is, oh, I want to be famous, oh, pie in the sky, oh, and I'll be loved, that's not going to get you there. It's just not going to get you there. You have to go after it. You have to know the obstacles and you have to be prepared. Just like when you're climbing Mount Everest, you can attain that goal, but you have to have the skill set. You have to have the training to be able to get there and be prepared.
That's good. That's solid advice for sure. And you're not the first one that said that. I actually interviewed Billy Bob Thornton the other day, and he said something very similar to that. So
Oh,
he
right.
also said knowing your history is super important.
Yes, that's right. You gotta, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, what is something about you that, or about a movie that you've done, or that fans never have heard or have rarely heard? Something like fun or a little tidbit of something different.
Oh, that is such an open question that it's too big. I don't know.
It could be about you. It could be about a movie. It could be anything that you feel like or has ever crossed your mind. Like, I've never talked about that.
Well, I mean, I have a book coming out. Probably won't be out till next year. I
Whoa.
delayed, but for sure by next year. And in my book, a lot of people think, actors, oh, I've achieved this, I've achieved that. Oh, had a relationship with that famous person, or I mean, it means nothing. You have to have you intact. You have to have you intact. So while the movies is illusion, right? We see something
Mm.
on the screen. How the hell did it get there? Right? And there's like a certain magical quality about filming something, digital or analog. It's up there and that's not the truth. There may be truth in it, but truth is who we are. And so it's an illusion. This person's famous and this what you read about people, there might be truth in it, but it's not the truth. And it's just so important, I think, to have who we are and your self-worth intact, that we're solid people, no matter what our thing is. People are going to have different belief systems. We're not into harming or hurting anybody in the world. We have to be loving beings who are accepting and loving towards everyone. And that happens when we put our own mask on first. That's why they say it on the airplane, put your own mask on first. So the self-worth, because I really lacked that in my younger life, and I didn't know it. And
That's
you never, no one that, I feel like actors are never really going to talk about that because the image, it's all about the image. So it's like,
mhm.
no, I'd rather go with the real.
I like that. I really appreciate that you've been, so candid with your advice and with our conversation. And
You're sweet.
wow, you're awesome. I can't wait to sit with you because I still want to talk about TJ Hooker and Little House on the Prairie and all the things. Um, I
Oh.
really, really appreciate. I'm really excited to catch you at the event.
I am so excited to come to Indiana, to Shelbyville at the Skyline Drive-In. I love drive-ins. It's going to be so much fun, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, and I hope that everybody gets over to your table and checks out. Are you gonna be bringing some merch with you?
I am, thank you for asking me about that, especially for both Stepfather and popcorn fans. Um, but there's something about popcorn where people really like special little things. So I had something made,
Nah.
only available through me, and it's a proprietary item, and it's a fun little item. Should I say what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so it's like, a vampire coffin. Like a
Uh-huh.
regular coffin is straight up and down, but a vampire coffin is like that.
Yeah, the Gothic, like the cut.
Right. So
The
I
difference between
have,
a casket and a coffin.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So this is a box that I had made, beautifully printed. And the tagline of popcorn is buy a bag. Popcorn, buy a bag, go home in a box. So I had a coffin box made up in the shape of something in the film that's called a shot clock. And inside of it, the credits are in the back, it's kind of similar to the poster, the front. And then you open it up, and if there's some black crinkly paper on the bottom and a skeleton hand.
I love
Then
this.
on the skeleton hand is a bag of popcorn, and it's tied in a ribbon, the popcorn that says buy a bag, go home in a box.
That is so cool.
They're a collector's item. I only am gonna do 333 worldwide,
Nice.
and I'm gonna number each one. They're all
That,
numbered, but I'm gonna number them as people buy them and sign them. Because there's nothing out there popcorn. And I always hear fans say, I want popcorn, I want popcorn. So I am bringing some merch. I'm bringing some hats and t-shirts from popcorn for the
that's
fans who love
so cool.
this movie. It's my way of saying thank you.
That is so cool. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.